Theory, so welcome back to my channel. Can you believe that June is over? I can't. I'm actually filming this on the day watching it because I have been swamped. Legitimately swamped by finals and everything else that has been happening, and I'm still in the midst of it, but I felt like I didn't want to break my streak of filming or like uploading every Tuesdays and Fridays, so coming through for you guys. I'm coming through and I'm filming my wrap up. So let's get into the video. Considering that June was the last month of the semester for me, I actually did quite well in terms of reading. I think I managed to get through 9 books. Actually, 3 of those were mangas and 2 were quite short books, but still I think that's not too bad. Did I say 3 books? 9 books? What did I say? I have no recollection of the beginning of that sentence. Oh fuck, this is the situation. This is the moment again where I forget what I rated these. So the very first book I finished this month is Lucy by Jamaica Kincaid. Somewhere there's an emergency, and it always happens when I'm filming. But so far there is no insects in this room, knock on every kind of way you can find. This book follows a, I think, 18-year-old girl. And she's from the West Indies, and she comes from North America to work as an au pair for a family there, and basically this book is supposed to be her coming of age story and her finding her sexuality and things like that, and I really liked that premise and I thought it sounded really interesting, so I wanted to read it. I ended up giving this book 3 stars for the main reason that I didn't really see the point of it at the end of the day. I thought Lucy, again the main character, she was my biggest problem in this book because she's extremely unlikable, like extremely unlikable. She really treats other people like garbage for the most part. She's extremely condescending towards them, and I was especially annoyed at her relationship to her mother because she's like all the way across the world, right? And her mother sends her letters upon letters upon letters. She never even opens them, let alone replies, and she just treats her mother like such crap. And there are some jumps back into her childhood or whatever I feel like that are supposed to legitimize this treatment, but they don't. So I don't understand how someone can treat their mother like this. It made me physically angry at her. What the fuck is happening today? Yeah. People stop getting hurt. And as I said, this is supposed to be a coming of age story, but for me that never really happened because there was no difference between Lucy from the beginning and the end of the book. You're supposed to change as you grow up, right? That's the point of a coming of age story. She didn't change whatsoever. And it also says in the blurb that this is her finding her sexuality. And so I thought what I understand by finding your sexuality means they a virgin before, you have no sexual experience and then you sort of venture into that area of life. She had sex before coming to North America, which is fine, but then don't call it her finding her sexuality if, you know, she had already found it. I was just so confused. And yeah, overall I just was kind of disappointed by this book. It was quite short, and throughout this entire book I felt really detached from her story as well, so I couldn't really care for her other than really dislike her. So yeah, I don't necessarily recommend this one. Why did I give it 3 stars? I feel like I should have given it less. The next was one of the biggest surprises for me ever. I had been anticipating this book, but at the same time I'd been kind of apprehensive of it because I thought oh, maybe this is gonna disappoint me, but it didn't. Oh no, it did not. And that is Belle of Mars by David D. Levine. I have been talking about this book for months now, just hyping it up for myself because I had heard that this does my favorite trope, which is a girl pretending to be a guy, and I love that. It makes me so happy to read about that. And yes, this is a thing in this book, but it is so much better just overall. This book is, I would say, sci-fi, dystopian, alternate history, steampunk. Does that make sense? It's set in the 1800s, and it basically follows Arabella, and she grows up on Mars, which is a British colony, which I think is so cool, and there's so many parallels to like actual British colonies of our like history, and the struggles they deal with and the politics of it all. It's so like accurate in a way, and really interesting. I just like love that aspect of it, especially if you're considering that this is a young adult novel. This touches on some really like complex and political and controversial subject matters that I think are really important in young adult books, and it just does it so well. Like, it doesn't detract from the story at all. It doesn't like give you a history lesson among the whole thing, like, or maybe it does, but just like you're not even noticing what's happening because you're enjoying yourself so much, but at the same time you're like getting information, if that makes any sense. But basically, Arabella grows up on Mars, and then her mother really wants her to move back to London, so she does. And she's basically forced to do that, and when she is in London, soon after, something happens on Mars, and she has to travel back there, but like by herself, and kind of cloak and dagger way, because she needs to stop what's happening and stuff like that. And it's just like, I can't explain it because I'm always bad at explanations and like plot summaries, you guys know this, but this book is so good, and it just I love the protagonist of this. I loved Arabella. She is such a kick-ass heroine. She's so empowered. She's so strong, and like for her time, because she grew up among the among the Martians, and they have like a different societal structure. So for example, the females are the stronger ones and the warriors. So by her, like, she kind of got that value system from her nanny, and then she had to move back to England, and obviously their women were very repressed and things like that. So that kind of dichotomy, and like it just it's just so good. It's just so good. And at the same time, Arabella isn't like a perfect person. I did give this book only 4 stars instead of 5. I was gonna give it 5 until about like here. I don't know, that was like a random point, but like towards the end of the book I started feeling like it wasn't as strong anymore as the beginning and everything else, and the ending is extremely strange and like spur of the moment. Like, it's like, I don't even know, like, so one thing happens and I was just like, what the actual fuck? Like, did that have to be a thing? Like, I was so weirded out by it, but okay, whatever. One thing I will say though, this book has a lot of kind of nautical terms and marine jargon thing going on that I found a little bit difficult to understand, and the book is fairly long. Like, it doesn't look that long, but it's really long. The pages are thin, and like the font, considering it's a YA book, is kind of small, so it does take a little bit to get through it, and there's a lot of descriptive passages. It doesn't read like a YA book at all, I would say. So this is so good still. Like, I just love it so much. I can't articulate myself, but I love it so much. You should read this. I definitely recommend that you go read this. It's my new baby. It's the love of my life. Like, sorry, but it's the love of my life. And this is The Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. Jesus Christ, this book. You guys. Of course I gave it 5 stars. Is there any other rating you could give this book? What is going on out there? People are really like fighting in front of my door, like my window sometimes. Like, it happens too often. I'm sure you guys are familiar with Robin Hobb's books, at least with like her as an author person, because she's published like a million things, and this book came out in 1995, so it's fairly old. But this is the start of like a 16-book series, so I'm into that. I'm like all for that. That is all that I want to do forever, is read these books, because holy shit, this is so good. I can't even explain it. It's a fantasy story, high fantasy. There's a lot of elements to it, and basically you just follow the bastard of like a royal prince, his bastard son, and he kind of gets taken in by the court, and he's being trained as an assassin. And oh, it's so good. It's so good. I like love the world. I love the characters. I love the writing. I like devoted way too much of my time to this book, because I think I like dropped everything. I canceled plans. I procrastinated on doing any kind of work hardcore because I really needed to read this, and it's the reason why I have sort of restrained myself from reading the sequel that is like lying on my shelf back there, because until I've like finished my finals and everything, because I know that this world is gonna suck me straight back in, and then that's all I'm gonna be doing for days and days and days. So yeah, those are holiday plans for me. People are lying at the beach, I'm gonna be reading Robin Hobb. Yay. Then really quickly I wanted to mention some mangas I read. So the first two are Detective Conan. I read volumes 85 and 86. I've mentioned this before, it's one of my favorite, if not, actually no, it's my favorite manga series. Been reading these for like 20 years and I'm 23, so that doesn't make sense, but these are so good. I recommend them. If you're into manga and you haven't read these yet, you need to. I feel like most people will have though, because I think that they're like one of the most famous ones, but still, they're super good. And another manga I read, actually borrowed from the library, and this is Hadashi no Gen. What's it called? Barefoot Through Hiroshima, or like Hiroshima, something with Gen Hiroshima. It's by Nakazawa Keiji, and it is his own memoir basically in manga form. He was a like 7-year-old boy during the bombs dropping on Hiroshima, and this is a story like before the incident and like straight when it happens, and I think that there's like 5 or 6 volumes in the series, but I don't think I'll be reading them because this was the hardest thing to get through. And I know that it's important to read things like this because they're true, they're not made up, they're not fiction. This is what really happened, and it didn't even happen that long ago. That was like 70 years ago. Like, that's a person can live that long. That is so scary. It is just I don't even know. So needless to say, I give this book 5 stars. It wasn't my favorite manga style or anything like that, but I just felt like the message of this was so raw and so real that like I think it accomplished what it set out to do, and I guess that means it's a job well done, even though this book was just heartbreaking. Then I'm gonna talk about a book that was quite a disappointment to me because it was just so dull. It literally just fell out of my hand. And that is The Waterman by Patrick Easter. I have recently bought this book just like on a whim because I liked the cover and I thought the story sounded interesting. It is set in 1798 at the port of London, at the Thames, and it literally just like follows 2 guys. One is a captain or like a previous captain of a ship, and the other is like a scoundrel, a villain, and kind of they're on opposing sides of like a conflict, and they also kind of fall for the same woman or something like that. And I thought it sounded really interesting, especially since that is a setting I know nothing about or knew nothing about before going into this. But this book is so boring. The story is written from multiple point of views, but it's done in a way where you as the reader are literally always aware of everything that's happening, and only like the characters will keep stuff from each other, but they'll still reveal it in their own POV chapters, and it's just so poorly done. Like, if you're gonna have multiple point of views, you need to sort of find a way to keep some suspense, but just there was really no like intrigue or plot twists happening for the reader, in my opinion. Another thing that really annoyed me is how conflict and conflict resolution worked in this story. Like, that doesn't really make sense right now, but let me explain. So basically, in most interestingly written novels, there will be like bad situations happening, and then people will like try to find a resolution, but then while they're still looking, there's like another thing happening, and then like it's like an intricate web of things. Whereas in this, it was literally just like sequential. Like, one thing would come up, they'd solve it. One thing would come up, they'd solve it. Like, that was how the whole thing happened, and it was just so boring, and I like didn't care for any of it. It was actual hard work to get through this book. The only good thing I would say about it is that because I felt like nothing mattered, I could really drift off and daydream 4 hours while reading this book, and it's like not that long. Like, it has pretty huge margins and the font is not too big, so It's kind of a quick read, but it still felt like a chore to pick this up, and I can't believe that this is the first book in a series. Like, who would want to continue this after reading this book? I honestly have no idea. The characters were also completely strange, they didn't make sense, and their interactions were sometimes just so stilted and weird. Like, the dialogue was like, that's not how people talk. So I ended up giving this 2 stars because it doesn't like merit, I think, like just 1 star, because that's like a really shitty book. And this is not even that badly written, it's just so boring. It's just so dull. No, thank you. And finally, I actually did manage to finish the month on a very high note, and that happened with Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. This book. Oh yes, oh yes. So this is a sci-fi story about 4 women scientists, and they're being sent on an expedition into Area X. And there have been like 11 previous expeditions, and something has always happened to them. Like, some have come back and killed themselves, others have shot each other, and one like came back not feeling, looking, whatever, sounding like themselves, and then they all died of cancer and things like that, you know? Just all together really creepy shit. And this is now, I think, the 12th expedition, and it consists of an anthropologist, a surveyor, a psychologist, and a biologist. And the biologist is a narrator, and none of the women are given names in this book. They're all just called like the anthropologist, the biologist, things like that. And this is written like the journal, in the journal form basically of the biologist, as she like chronicles what happens. And basically they just get there and explore, and then they discover some really creepy shit, and stuff starts to happen and unfold. And I honestly would suggest you go into this not knowing much at all, because this is just so intricate, and there's so many like little things and hidden gems that kind of come up, and twists and stuff like that. So I really recommend going into this not knowing anything besides what I just told you. But like, this is so good. It is so suspenseful. It is so insanely creepy, and I think that it's definitely like such a skill to do, because look at this book. It is tiny. It is literally like not even 200 pages, and still the pacing was on point. I was never bored. I never felt like it was rushed. It just, everything felt like just right. And it had like this sense of unease and creepiness from page 1, which, how is that even possible? I don't know, but like, that's what I felt when reading this. And it's, I was just like on the edge of my seat, ready to claw my face off. Like, not really, but like the entire time of reading this. And I think like I read almost to the very end at night once, and then I was like, I need to take a break, because I'm so scared of like an undefined thing, like just like pure fear. It's not like really scary, it's just like so eerie and so creepy, and I loved it. Ended up giving this 5 out of 5 stars, and I cannot wait to read the sequels. They're called Authority and Acceptance, and they all also have such cute, beautiful covers, so I have to order those soon and actually jump into them, because this trilogy is amazing. By the way, I've realized this on Amazon Germany. You can buy the whole box set for 22 bucks, and I paid like 10 for this. It's the hardcover set, by the way, so if you're interested, I recommend you go and do that. But I'm probably gonna order the sequels on Book Depository, because I really want this cover, and I already have this, so whatever. Might as well buy the matching ones. Oh! I forgot a book! That's embarrassing. Okay. Oh, I forgot that I also read The Princess Bride by William Goldman. I don't know how I forgot that, but I did. Anyway, let's quickly do that one. Wrap it up, because what's a wrap up if you don't talk about all the books you read? It was literally lying in front of me. How did I not even see it? I'm so dumb. Oh my god. So actually this was the second to last book I read this month. Ended up giving it 3 stars. I really enjoyed the fairy tale portion of this. I love Fezzik. I love Inigo. I think Buttercup is an annoying bitch, but whatever. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was funny and well done, but all the surrounding like crap annoyed the shit out of me. Oh my god, like, I get it. You're clever. The idea is clever. Well done. But please stop talking about like how many books you've sold, or like this random extra chapter, and like whatever, like pages on pages on pages of that crap, and I was just so bored. Not the biggest fan of this, but I loved the fairy tale portion, which is why I gave it 3 stars. So yeah, that's it for real now. Anyway guys, so that's probably another way too long video from my part, but like if you've read like 1, 2, 3 books in a month that you really loved, you need to talk about them. At least I do. So anyway, at the end of the day, I think I had a really good reading month. I read a lot of new stuff I really liked. All of them are first books in the series, so I'm excited to continue on that path, especially with Robin Hobb, because it's like 15 more books or something like that. Like, I'm in heaven. This is the end of the video. You made it thus far. Congratulations. Leave a comment down below telling me what your favorite book that you read this month was, and also if you're also as into Robin Hobb as I am, because that's not a heartbeat sound. What am I doing? But I love her. That's what I'm trying to say with that. Okay, so thanks so much for watching, you guys. I hope you had a lovely June, and I hope that your July is also gonna be fun and awesome. I hope you have holidays like I do in 4 days or so. This is all gonna be over. I'm so excited. I can't wait. Anyway, I will see you very soon. Have a lovely week. Bye!